Turning down the lights and stepping way outside the boundaries of those neatly resolved procedural dramas. We're plunging into the absolutely most disturbing psychological corners of true crime. We really want to explore what exactly happens when human depravity collides with the darkest, most isolated pockets of our modern digital world.
I am already dead under the name of Alex. When you hear a statement like that, especially knowing it was written by a killer just moments before a horrific act, it really forces a chilling realization, doesn't it? It makes us ask, what happens when the monster isn't some random stranger hiding out in the woods, but literally the person sleeping just down the hall?
Part 1. The Allure of the Eerie.
Before we get into the minds of the killers themselves, we kind of have to ask ourselves, why are we so drawn to these dark narratives in the first place? Think about channels like Lazy Masquerade. They don't rely on flashy graphics or hosts screaming at the camera. Instead, it's all about that moody, late-night, eerie narration. It draws millions of us into unresolved mysteries that just seem to echo long after the explainer ends. We see distinct styles in the true crime space. Some want the clinical, fact-based breakdown of an interrogation, while others want a deep, empathetic dive. But ultimately, we're all collectively searching for answers to the unexplainable.
Part 2. Mysteries in the Dark.
As we sink deeper into the iceberg of the unknown, we hit cases that just completely defy logic. Take the chilling 1922 Hinterkaifeck massacre in Germany. An entire family brutally murdered on their farm. But honestly, the most terrifying detail? The killer didn't flee. They literally stayed in the house for 3 days. They ate the family's food, milked the cows, tended the farm, right alongside the bodies of their victims. I mean, that is a level of psychological detachment that is just almost impossible to comprehend.
And we see that same bizarre, almost haunting nature haunting the 1998 Tristan Brubach case in Frankfurt. A 13-year-old boy was tragically murdered in a crowded park, and the killer just vanished into a sewer grate, taking the boy's backpack with him. But here's the kicker. A year later, that exact stolen backpack eerily reappeared 25 kilometers away, just sitting in the woods. It's those inexplicable, lingering details that leave investigators, and let's be real, us, awake at night.
Part 3. Psychology of a Violent Mind.
So, transitioning from historical mysteries to modern clinical realities, what is actually broken inside the brains of these individuals? Forensic psychologists like Dr. Louis Schlesinger give us some vital insights here. We often hear the terms psychopathy and sociopathy thrown around interchangeably, but they are incredibly different. A psychopathic personality doesn't necessarily cause the murder. Rather, it dictates how meticulously the killer plans, executes, and covers their tracks. They're forensically aware and totally devoid of empathy. Sociopathy, on the other hand, often presents as highly disorganized and spontaneous because they severely lack impulse control.
For the absolute most dangerous offenders, Dr. Schlesinger notes something truly unsettling. Killing alone is often not psychosexually sufficient for them. There is this terrifying fusion of sex and aggression, meaning the violent act itself becomes deeply eroticized. We need this clinical, objective understanding to figure out why these offenders leave such brutal, degrading crime scenes. It's not just anger, right? It's a deeply, deeply disturbed pathology.
Part 4. Digital Echo Chambers of Hate.
Now, as we descend further, we see how this pathology doesn't just exist in a vacuum anymore. Modern digital spaces actually act as incubators for it. This leads us to the deeply tragic case of Blaze Bernstein, a young college student whose life was taken by someone he thought was a friend. Reporting strictly on the facts uncovered by police, Blaze's killer, Sam Woodward, was part of a violent, far-right extremist cult that promoted severe hate speech. And devastatingly, when the members of this cult found out Sam had taken Blaze's life, they actually celebrated it. But beneath that radicalized exterior, investigators uncovered a profound psychological twist. What was Sam hiding from his own cult? Well, he was secretly struggling with his own closeted sexuality. He was actively using gay dating sites and consuming content his own group violently despised. He ended up projecting his own intense internal conflict and self-hatred onto Blaze, who was living openly and honestly. The internet essentially gave Sam a dark place to fuel his hatred rather than actually seek help for his internal crisis.
Part 5. An AI-assisted matricide. This brings us to the climax of our descent, an unimaginably dark 2025 true crime case from Wales involving an 18-year-old named Tristan Roberts and his mother, Angela Shellis. It represents the terrifying frontier where severe mental disturbance meets artificial intelligence. Angela was a beloved teaching assistant and a fiercely protective mom, but she had this tragic foresight. She literally wrote in her phone,
Is he planning to hurt me? I did not sleep well at all. While she offered immense maternal love, Tristan was spending his days locked away, descending into toxic manosphere forms, nurturing these violent incel obsessions, and actively blaming his mother for his own profound isolation. The sheer scale of his digital obsession is just staggering. When Discord moderators banned Tristan for his violent rhetoric and misogyny, he didn't stop. He simply circumvented the bans. Get this, he maintained 16 separate Discord profiles. Donning an avatar from the movie American Psycho, he openly plotted matricide to an audience of total strangers online.
And the cold, methodical logic of his crime? It's chillingly modern. Tristan actually tricked the DeepSeek AI chatbot into becoming an unwitting accomplice. By claiming he was just writing a fictional serial killer book, he completely bypassed the AI's safety filters. He literally asked it how to clean up blood mist and forced the AI to weigh the pros and cons of using a hammer versus a knife for murder.
The timeline of October 23rd is nothing short of agonizing. At 11 p.m., Tristan started an audio recording on his laptop, put on a fake accent, and began a brutal hammer assault on his mother in her bed. Despite horrific injuries, Angela begged him to call for help, but instead, the silence of the night just stretched on for hours. Finally, at 3:19 a.m., he forced his severely injured mother to walk out into the freezing dark, leading her to a nature reserve where he ended her life. Her body was found just hours later.
The sheer psychological depravity of the immediate aftermath is so hard to stomach. Tristan didn't run. He didn't try to hide. He walked right back home, sat down at his laptop, opened Discord, and casually typed to a group of strangers, "I've just had the craziest day." He bragged about the murder online before the police even arrived at his door.
Part 6. The Ethics of True Crime. After exploring such intense, suffocating darkness, we really have to pivot and ask ourselves a hard question. Why are we, as a society, so compelled to consume these chilling explainers? Well, academic studies point to a concept called downward comparison. Sure, the eerie narration draws us in initially, but beneath that, consuming these stories is often rooted in a deep objective demand for justice and accountability. We're analyzing police failures, missed warning signs, and systemic blind spots, all driven by a profound sympathy for victims like Angela Shellis and Blaze Bernstein. We watch because we're desperately trying to understand how to stop the monster next door.
But that leaves us with a pretty chilling reality to face. Killers no longer just hide in the physical shadows, they are actively nurtured by the digital ones. So I'll leave you with this final thought. As digital echo chambers deepen and artificial intelligence evolves into a tool that can literally draft a murder plot, what new breeds of monsters are we inadvertently creating in the dark? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.